This is Printed and Pressed. I'm Chris.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Will. I'm fading in and out.
Will is a Jedi ghost for the day.
Yes, he is.
So he needs to get some better lighting, and maybe we'll all look better, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Get
I
himself
have
a light ring.
lights. I got lots of lights.
I have
I'm not gonna
3
buy a
lights,
light
I'll
ring.
have you know.
There you go. What is it?
I bet you a light ring would cost you less money than all 3 of those light bulbs to replace. I got my
light placing.
Light rings are like $9.99. They're not bad. Anyways,
we're just gonna use God's light. I'm gonna go outside.
You can do that, Will. You're welcome to try. All right. So today we're going to be reviewing the entire Chronicles of Narnia now that we've finished the series. Yeah. I don't know what this weird order is on the bottom. Obviously, it's not in like any it's not even like in publisher order. I don't know what this order is. But we're going to put them where they belong based on our re-review of the series, because we're not going to take any of the ratings we did previously. We're going to rate them today.
Well, relative. We're ranking them relatively to each other.
Yeah, just to do each other, yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously at least 1 or 2 of them will share a tier. Because we only rate 1 to 5.
What we're saying is our past ratings are valid for them as standalone books. Mm-hmm. The current ratings are them relative to each other, and we're just reviewing the series as a whole.
Yep.
That's the difference, Chris.
Yeah, exactly.
First ranking. Last battle doesn't get on the tier ranking.
Oh my god.
You know what? That book, even despite the issues, is still not it's not bad.
Okay,
what is this right here?
Can we just say what's getting a 5?
Oh, look at that! You can rate these things. I didn't know. Oh, if you think the list is bad.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Stop giving it votes.
Yes,
you're screwing it up.
All right, I'm gonna do that. All right, ready? So, let's start off with like a kind of short discussion on what the series is. It's like thematically where it goes from start to finish, because it is all over the place. So we're not going to spend too much time on that. But there is like a continuous linear story. It's just not all like one set of characters throughout, like Lord of the Rings.
It's the story of Narnia.
Right. Yeah. It's like you're looking at like, if this were a Tolkien book, this is like the Silmarillion, because none of the stories are like exactly connected, but they all kind of fit in the world.
I mean, it's the story of the entire
That's what I'm saying.
world
it's the full,
of Narnia from
and one random family
to ending, and
the Pevensies, and
it's mostly one family.
Well, it's they're their cousins and their friends, right? Like that's basically it.
Except for the origin, they're not.
Diggory and Polly are not. Yeah, Diggory and Polly are not technically part of the Pevensey canon.
Yeah, when Lewis is like, wait a minute, there's people that were ruling before the Pevensies kids. How did they get there? I'm going to write a book real quick before I finish the series.
Yeah.
and on another
note, last one too. That is true. So.
My son is really enjoying. Him and I are reading through it together now, and he's really enjoying it. So
that's good.
We're in The Magician's Nephew, and he's been guessing which character. He's seen The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe like a bunch of times already. And so he's like trying to guess which characters are in the book from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And he immediately realized that the tall woman was the witch.
For reference to the audience, how old is your son, Chris?
6.
6. And you have younger children. Is he the one that you think, what age bracket do you think can actually
He's like right on that cusp of like understanding it. I wouldn't say below his age is like really... Because like the other 2, my 2-year-old who's almost 3 and my 4-year-old who's going to be 5 in January, those 2 don't really listen or pay attention that well to that book. Okay. They're not there yet. Yeah. It's not even that they couldn't understand the themes necessarily. It's more that the attention span required at that like level of writing. So like even with my 6-year-olds, sometimes I substitute words because it's English. It's not American English. It's not American English. It's English. So like some words that he uses are like, 1950s is okay, but today like nobody knows what that word means anymore unless you're like an old person who can look up the context.
You can just say one of them. The word
bundle sticks.
No, he uses the word gay in there too.
Yeah, but that meant happy at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, he meant happy. Like the song, what's that song they play around the holidays?
Christmas song.
Yeah, it's a Christmas song. I can't think of what it's called. But that word gay in that song means happy too. So.
Yeah.
Or does it? They snuck it past you,
Chris. Con.
The censors. Anyways.
I mean, this goes from very beginning with the creation of the world, it shows you the origins of the White Witch. Of
so the
Narnia
Magician's
itself,
Nephew
right?
does that. The Magician's Nephew gives you the origin of the world as a succinct story from start to finish. There's the common theme of strangers that starts in that book, right? Not always trusting strangers or even family.
Strangers, but yeah, that one had family in it. That's like the only one.
Magic rings.
And then following the Magician's Nephew, going to Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's when you find out that Always Winter. It's kind of like the main story.
Don't trust tall women.
Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah,
don't trust fawns either.
Don't trust the strange woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't trust the queen of the world who's made it winter for the last 100 years.
Don't tell your family secrets. That's another one.
Yeah, don't overshare with strangers. There's another good one. But the Lion, the Witch, the Wardrobe is usually what people think of when they think Chronicles of Narnia. Yeah. And there's a good reason for that. It's the most famous story of the whole bunch.
It's usually the only story people think of. Let's be honest.
Pretty much. And it's the one that usually gets remade into a movie every time they talk about publishing something. Yep. And then following the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe it was Prince Caspian or Horse and His Boy? I can't remember.
Technically, Horse and His Boy.
Horse and His Boy is next. Yeah. And this order we're talking about is chronological order. Yeah, I guess that would be the Horse and His Boy next, yeah.
Yeah.
The publishing order is different. It's kind of all over the place. Will has the publishing order version of the books.
You do.
Because he didn't know what he was doing when he bought them.
It's weird.
Are those first editions, or how did you wind up with the publishing order version?
That's a great question. It's one of the very first combined sets, yes.
Yeah.
Is that why you got it?
No, I got it at Salvation Army. It was just complete and pristine.
He didn't buy it on purpose, Chris.
I was like, I thought you did on purpose because it made me laugh.
Nah. I was like, I don't have these books. There they are.
I'm assuming they were cheap then.
Yeah, like 50 cents.
You probably could sell them for at least 5 times what you paid.
Oh, I'm sure they're worth at least $10. So I would make money on them, but
probably each at that if they're that old. Yeah, a lot of people like to collect the old first edition paperbacks of this series.
In the
I think we can all agree the chronological order in which we read them is the right way to do it, right?
No, chronological order makes the most sense because you're not introduced to characters that don't make sense yet.
Yeah.
It just shows you the timeline of things that have happened already. You're not jumping back and forth wondering like, why is this going back in time? I think that's weird for anybody to read.
Mm-hmm.
Because in this book, you still see Edmund and Susan and Lucy.
Yeah.
They're still introduced in this book. So in this one, The Horse and His Boy, it's just a journey of, spoiler alert, a lost prince going back to Archenland and having to do that whole journey without even knowing who he is.
Right. And so after The Horse and His Boy, you get that little side story with, was it Rabadash? What the heck is his name?
What? Are you talking about?
His Prince Core. Okay, but I can't remember what the heck his what he goes by in the book. It's like Rabadash.
He's the boy, man. He's just the boy.
He's the Rapida, or whatever his name is. I don't know. And then following that one, we get to Prince Caspian, which kind of introduces a whole new set of people. It's a coming of age and a taking over of power story.
We should say that The Horse and His Boy is a very important book to explain one of the big baddies of the entire series.
Oh, the Tarkin?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not going to be explained when it actually shows up.
Yeah. If you don't read that, it's not explained for like the last battle.
Like Calorman.
Anything else, yeah.
Or talked about.
Right.
Yeah, whenever they're talked about, it would just be a mystery.
And you go through their capital, Tashbaan, too, right?
Yeah.
And then you find out
you get a full culture introduction to them, which makes sense for later books like the Dawn Treader, where you're at the Lonely Island.
Yeah, what's the Dawn Treader?
I don't care. It makes more sense. I don't care.
Oh, fair enough.
I just think of merchant fleets, okay? Shush. And you go to the Lonely Islands, right? And if you aren't aware of who the Colormen are, it's going to be weird how the whole slave trade and everything is just bustling there.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there is why I think The Horse and His Boy is a very important context reading prior to Caspian's story.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you go into the Voyage of the Dawn Treader is kind of, we already just discussed that. So now we're on to the Silver Chair, which is the one generation past Prince Caspian, at least, right? Yeah, one.
No, I mean it's his son. It's directly his son.
It's one generation out from Prince Caspian.
Yeah, Prince Caspian is still technically alive at the very beginning of this book.
And they bring back what's his face? Is it not Edmund? Eustace. Yeah, that's right.
So in this, just to recap, the characters.
And he spends the time to tell you about how bad these like modern schools are before you get into the actual Narnia book.
Yeah,
that did crack me up that he spent so much time on that.
You still have Edmund and Lucy and the Dawn Treader.
Yes, that's the last book they show up in. And Reepicheep.
Yep, and then going into the Silver Chair goes straight to just Eustace and his friend.
And clearly he's grown a lot since the Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Yeah, there's a lot of personal growth there on his part.
Yes. C.S. Lewis actually spends like a good page or two elaborating on how bad he was before. By the way, that what's her face talks about him.
What's her? Is it Paul?
It's not Polly.
No,
Paul.
It's not Polly. Paul.
Yeah. Paul.
Her last name is Paul.
That's right. It's her last name. I can't remember her first name. Clearly, she didn't matter that much.
I got her name somewhere in my notes.
Yeah. So the Silver Chair, like long story short, Jill. That's right. I was thinking Jennifer. I was like, that's not right.
No, Jill.
But the whole Silver Chair is like facing fears, following the commandments that were given to you by the Lion Jesus.
Yep.
And
listen to Jeebus.
And then kind of seeing the preview for the end of the world. Of the book. Which leads you into the last battle, where all the things you see at the end of the Silver Chair kind of show up at the end of that book. But before you get there,
to the last 3 pages, and then
that's all you need.
Thing.
That's literally all you need.
I'll be honest. I think you guys are pretty harsh on the last battle. I think it starts off very well, and then Lewis does his fatal flaw, which is he wants to have a quick finish to a book, and he wraps it up real
not just
quick.
to books.
Oh my gosh.
What do you mean by that?
You know what he means by that.
Yeah.
Don't play.
He wants to have a quick finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. What do we say? Well, I heard your nickname is the Flash. No, anyways.
Oh my gosh.
So the book, basically the last book, goes through like a Narnia Revelations. Like you go, the first half of it is like false prophet, the ape, which leads into the false prophet getting removed, and then just the bad guy coming in and like killing everybody as many people as he can.
They completely betray all the.
What's the guy? What's the bad guy's name? It's not Tarkin. It's the
Tash.
demigod. Yeah, Tash, the demon.
Which is just so random. He's just there, and then suddenly he's not there anymore. So why was he even included?
It's because Lewis is.
Well, no, he goes back to where he came from.
He's writing these for children. Will.
I don't.
You're not going to sit there and like elaborate on Tash for an hour. That'd be.
You just hate on Tash. Tash, it does not have to be real. It's one of those things where they believe in Tash, so they manifest Tash when they go into that final world. Just like when they didn't believe in Aslan anymore, the dwarves couldn't manifest anything but that stupid barn.
I mean, that's a good point. I didn't think about that, but I think Tash is probably a real thing because Aslan kind of treats him like a real thing. He didn't have to be. I agree with you. He didn't have to be real. He could have been.
I don't think he should have been there. I think just the horror of being stuck in the barn and then dying to the dragons.
It's just the concept that you get what you wish for when you have bad gods like that. That's the concept. It's like Tash is a demon concept, right? And they worship it as if it's a god, so it has god power over them. That's what it is.
I mean, that's the same concept in Christianity with Satan, right? Like Satan only has power over you if you give it to him. Same idea.
Yeah.
So
I just feel like the witch was a more compelling villain, and then she just doesn't come back.
You're like the people who made the movies who wanted to keep bringing her back.
Because it's like if Sauron died in
the Fellowship, and never came back.
Yeah.
The problem. Okay, I think we can identify Okay, let's just make this very clear. Lewis.
No, she's like Smaug.
Let's make this very clear. Lewis never intended another book. Every time he wrote one, he kept thinking it was his last book, and then he would write another one. Mm-hmm. So a big issue for Lewis's books is he's literally just adding on to a story that he thought he was done with.
Yeah, he did do that a lot.
Every time. And that's the difference between him and Tolkien. Tolkien just wouldn't release the damn book until he built out the entire world. So there's just a very different style in that regard.
Yeah, I think my writing style is more like Tolkien. I just keep rewriting my story over and over again. I can't just like.
I mean, to be fair, when he released The Hobbit, he was not expecting to release the trilogy, so you can still make the argument. Fun. Well, I mean, his publisher was like, "You got to release more."
Well, okay. Let's be honest. The Hobbit is very well written, as far as a lot of loose ends that don't get described.
I feel like The Hobbit though leads to like the Hobbit is a complete story, but it doesn't like close loose ends that you.
It does not lead to the trilogy at all. That's not true. It is.
It is a standalone thing that creates a lot of questions that aren't answered, which allows him to build the next.
I'm saying he doesn't close all the loose ends to a point where it's hard writing a new book after.
No, but you can tell. Okay, he created a lot of loose ends that he was willing to go back and play with later.
Yeah.
But you can tell that he didn't necessarily have the final product established in his head on what those would each be. Like
Tolkien's like, I'm good. I got The Hobbit. I'm done.
We're going to discuss that on Sunday for the specific Hobbit episode. But yeah, we'll talk about that more there. Let's get back to the Narnia.
Yeah, let's rank it.
I think we all agree, right, that The Horse and His Boy.
We're going to go one by one. We're not going to start with The Horse and His Boy.
Dude, fine.
Are we doing publication order? How are we doing this, Chris?
We're going to reverse chronological order, starting with The Last Battle.
Okay, well, that's not getting on this chart. I will fight you.
No, because we're doing it. Okay, as long as we're doing relative to all the others, it's clearly the worst. So I'll give it a 1.
I'll agree. I'll keep it at the 1 spot.
Yeah, it's bad.
I'll agree with you on that.
The Silver Chair.
I the Silver Chair
a 5. Honestly, I'm willing to give the Silver Chair a 5. It's another really good, it has a lot of good messages.
I would give the Silver Chair a 4. I'm right there with you though, Andrew. It's really good.
Well, when I'm saying,
but I don't think it's quite Horse and His Boy tier.
That's fair. I would be okay. I'm like in the middle. It's just below Horse and His Boy, so I would be willing to give it a 4. I'm trying to rate other ones more generously than I want to though. So okay. Yeah, I'm for a 4 then.
And just for the record though, the way this tier list works, they don't have to like have that's why I cut it down to 5 choices. You don't have to have any of them be a 5, but any of them could be tied in a category. It's not a big deal.
Well, that's why I'm going to struggle later, but okay. Yeah.
All right. So after Silver Chair,
Don Treader.
Then is yes, that's right, Don Treader. I actually like this one a lot. I'm a 3 or a 4.
If I'm putting the Silver Chair at a 4, I have to put the Don Treader at a 3.
Okay, I mean,
I just have to because
I would probably give it a 4, but it's not quite Silver Chair worthy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're willing to put Silver Chair at the same level as A Horse and His Boy, I could give it a 4, but I can't because it's too the Horse and His Boy and the Silver Chair have each like adventure portion fleshed out completely, whereas the Don Treader suffers from like rushed adventures. So not all the islands or all of the encounters within that journey feel like full-fledged.
Yeah, and every single time there's a new thing that happens in that story, I just want to follow that plot line and not go back to the main one.
Yeah, it just seemed very disconnected.
Yes.
Which bothered me. I'm not going to lie. So I think it's actually deserving of a 3.
All right. So after that is Prince Caspian.
That's a...
I would say Prince Caspian is a 2 or a 3.
I hate it.
When you compare it to everything else on this chart, is a 2 or a 3.
I think it's a lot like The Last Battle, if I'm completely honest.
I want as much space as possible between this, so I will put that as a 3 as well, because The Last Battle shouldn't even be on this chart.
A 2.
It's too close.
No,
this is screwed up. There needs to be like in between.
Well, I guess I'm the tiebreaker then. We either have to put it at a 3
on the same
or a
level
2.
as the Dawn Treader, because there's literally no battle. They build up that entire battle just to not have it be fought at all. I guess add another thing here. Add another row. Add another row, please. The 0.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Now I can.
Fine, a 2. It can be a 2.
Now it's a 2. Okay.
You like that The Last Battle gets its own category?
Yes.
I mean, it is clear like there's some redeemable qualities to Last Battle. I know you hate it, Will, but I don't see it as bad as you do personally.
Okay, I literally said earlier, I just think it suffers from the rushed ending, because he builds up a great story.
Yeah, it was really good up until the end.
Ends it in the worst way possible. For me.
My favorite part was when the world was ending and I knew I didn't have to read more Narnia books.
I think you're just sick of Narnia by the time you read this.
It didn't help that he was cynical. Sick of it,
yeah. I really do think it's a 1 and not that bad, but fine.
Okay, what's the next one?
After that would be The Horse and His Boy, right?
Which is clearly
that's a 5. Put that up there.
Such a good book.
I think if you just handed somebody The Horse and His Boy without having read anything else in the series, I think somebody could enjoy that book.
Yeah, the only book that you need to read to give it any extra vibe with it would be The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Right, but I think you could easily, like, of all the books, I think that one has the most standalone quality next to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, no, I mean, it has the most standalone. The Silver Chair is also pretty standalone.
Well, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe can stand alone, but so can The Horse and His Boy.
Except the problem with the Silver Chair is that you need the context of Eustace and the Dawn Treader.
If you don't know who Caspian and Eustace are, like, you're not getting as much out of that story.
Yes.
So yes. I would say that one heavily, like, the Silver Chair needs the Voyage of the Dawn Treader to have the impact that it should.
Yeah,
have.
I mean, right now when you look at it, 2, 3, and 4, right now, those are all tied together. That is undeniable. So
yeah, I would say.
But
like,
then Prince Caspian is tied to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So
yeah, you kind of need.
It's almost like it's a series.
Yeah. So The Horse and His Boy is literally, and The Magician's Nephew are the only 2 standalones.
Wait, what?
The Magician's Nephew is a standalone book.
Yes, I would say you could easily though read The Magician. I don't think you need The Lion. I know The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe adds to The Horse and His Boy, but you could easily read it without.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Whereas I think The Silver Chair necessitates a read of, at the very least, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Like, the role of Edmund and Susan and Lucy is so minuscule that
they don't really have a lot.
Yeah,
they're barely in the story. Like, you could easily read that book, have no idea who they are, and still get to the bottom of it.
Yep, I agree.
Other than, Aslan being a kitty cat and then it's striking the friend of.
Don't talk about Aslan.
All right, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. 3. I would probably put that 3.
I despise the rushed ending.
I give it a 4.
I just despise the rushed
I would give it a 4.
I would put that one up.
Will?
I know it's going to make Andrew upset, but at a 5.
Well, then we average out to a 4.
Wait, how? You
then
guys
have to a 4.
Wait. You have to admit that this book, as soon as after the Beavers.
You definitely hate it after. I know this is your thing.
It's so rushed.
Well, I mean, that's every single story.
So, Andrew, you're giving it a 3.
No, it's not every single story. He doesn't rush The Horse and His Boy or The Silver Chair.
I would argue The Horse and His Boy is a little bit rushed at the end.
It definitely is rushed, but not to the extent of the other ones. So
it gets rushed in the right way, though.
This one, I mean, I guess I can be less cynical of this one versus Prince Caspian, so fine 4. If you're not going to give it to me as a 3,
Well, Will said 5, you said 3, and I said 4. So it averages out to a 4.
Okay. Now this is the one that's going to be controversial. I say this is 5 level.
I was going to say I'd give this a 5.
I would have given all 3 of these a 5, so I'm just upset that you guys didn't agree with me.
I like The Magician's Nephew more, like as an adult.
As an adult, I think
I like The Magician's Nephew better than The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But as a child, I would probably keep them on the same plane.
As a child, I don't think The Magician's Nephew is as entertaining. It's not as entertaining.
Let's put it this way. There was an entire chapter, because we were like 4 or 5 chapters in, my son and I, where my son was like, is this one over yet? So like,
no, that's the problem with The Magician's Nephew.
Yeah.
There's a lot of setup in the book.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a fan of Narnia and can appreciate what you're seeing being built in that, that's like why that's why it does make sense as like the last book almost, the publishing order.
Yeah,
but it's complicated.
No, it was right before Last Battle.
Oh, it's right before
Last Battle.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You're not going to appreciate it until after. So it's like you want to read it in the beginning still, but it's like much better the second time you read it through the series. I think.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I'd almost argue that this is the one that to read it out of order. Simply because, like you're saying, you get so much more appreciation once you already have Narnia established, and then you go back to see how it was created.
That's why people like publication order.
Well,
I don't know if I agree with the rest of them. It's just, this one in particular, I think makes a sense.
I think The Horse and the Boy is just the odd duck that needs to be placed where it is and chronologically.
I'm curious now. I'm looking at publication order again because I don't quite.
Well, wait, yeah, because they don't show up again until the last battle. So telling who they are, it needs to be read before the last battle for sure. Yes. Yeah.
You're saying The Magician's Nephew needs
has to be because the Polly and the other person, what's his name?
Diggory. Yeah, Polly and Diggory. I like those.
They don't show up. They show up in the last battle though, which is why you need.
They're in the Lion, the Witch. Well, Diggory's in the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He's the professor.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that.
Yep.
Okay, so here's the original publication order. You guys want to hear it? It was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, obviously. Then Prince Caspian.
Yeah.
Then Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Yeah.
Then The Silver Chair.
Yeah.
And then number 5 is The Horse and His Boy.
Random, yeah.
That is kind of a weird, like, out of place spot. 6
because he realizes he needs to explain who the collarmen are for the last battle.
Well, yep. So it goes Horse and His Boy, The Magician's Nephew.
Yeah.
And then the last battle.
Yeah. No, that makes sense on why he wrote them because he wanted to do the last battle, but he couldn't do the last battle until he explained the other 2 things.
So I'd be willing to give Magician's Nephew a 5, but that's an adult perspective, not a child's perspective.
I mean, it is our ranking of where we appreciate these books.
I'm just saying, like, if I was a kid, if I was the age group that's generally reading these books, I would probably put it at the same spot as Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
If I was a kid reading these again, versus an adult, right? I think The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is closer to a 3 as an adult, just because I hate the rushed ending. It drives me insane.
But as a kid, you'd probably have it higher.
As a kid, I'd probably put it as a 5. Just like
I mean, the last battle would be higher too because there's a talking monkey.
I mean, the last battle is good until the ending, where that one actually has a terrible ending.
I mean, the ending of the last battle it's like Game of Thrones. If you ruin the ending, nobody wants to watch it again. It's like the last battle is a sour taste to the series that's so great.
Yeah.
I don't think the last battle
just ended it with the actual ending to that book. That was so much more interesting than what was going on.
With the battle, you mean?
Yeah, we'll actually have a real battle. That would have been nice. Yeah. But also the dragons and the giant and stuff. That would have been really cool.
I mean, even if you just had the dragons and the giants destroy everything and then you wake up in the heaven place, that would have been fine.
Yeah, or like that's the battle, is them fighting off these cataclysmic beings.
He doesn't like having battles. That's what I know.
He doesn't. He likes to cut them short.
Yeah, he doesn't like to write about battles.
Yeah, I mean, Tolkien was the same way, but
I don't think you have to like spend a billion years on a battle though. Like what are you gonna write? Like the swords clash.
Yeah,
and then
so
they
the
clashed
Battle of the Five
again,
Armies
and
though,
then they
that was
clashed
satisfying.
again.
Yeah, I
and that was a
agree.
paragraph.
We need to rank the Magician's Nephew. All right, what are you guys giving it?
I would give it a 5.
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 5
because I'm ranking it from the current perspective. I think it's a 5 based on the quality of what he created.
See, because like when I think of C.S. Lewis's greatest works, I would say The Horse and His Boy is up there. I would say Magician's Nephew is up there. I would say Screwtape Letters is up there. And I think Paralandra is flat out his best writing.
His greatest works, these books would rank pretty low on that for me.
Well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is like The Horse and His Boy is one of his better writings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes you... Okay, I think The Horse and His Boy really exaggerates how robbed we are by the fact that he didn't do an epic like Tolkien. Because if he had done even just dedicated to The Hobbit, right? Like doing something like The Hobbit. If you took the themes from The Horse and His Boy, I guess that paired with The Silver Chair and The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and made one book that basically covers the like type of journey that is covered by The Hobbit, right?
Pretty close,
the expansiveness, the themes, and everything. If you took
the movies were 9 hours, Andrew.
If you took the best themes, right, from those 3 books and wrote in the same style as The Horse and His Boy and The Silver Chair, I guarantee it would be just as good as The Hobbit, if not better.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Okay, he's not creating this massive world, but like look at how much of Narnia he kind of creates at times. If he did the same world building to Narnia that Tolkien did to Middle Earth, like I think that's the thing, that if they ever made a TV series for Narnia, they should just try to expand on what he says in the gaps, right? Like he creates so much stuff that he says just kind of happened and we never get anything written about it. There's so much stuff there that you could make a really exciting TV series for kids who grew up on Narnia and are now adults.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. All right, so we got all the books where they are. Is there any book you want to argue differently? Do you feel any different
Last
about
Battle shouldn't be on that list.
Andrew's not feeling that same way, Will. And
I know he wants to put Caspian down lower. I know he's going to say it.
I just really hate Caspian. I'm not gonna lie. I hate Prince Caspian as a story.
I think the movie tainted your opinion. It's not that bad.
The movie is really awful.
The movie is really bad. There's a couple scenes that are redeeming, but
the only thing that is keeping Prince Caspian is the moral messages that are in there for the whole passage to get to help Prince Caspian fight the battle. But everything related to the battle is just so bad. Like the entire story, once they actually find Caspian, is so bad that it's like you just teased me for half of this damn book about the battle we're gonna have to fight to help Prince Caspian. What battle? Aslan shows up with the damn trees and it's over within 2 pages, and then he goes around like Pied Piper over here. Playing some little lion music and having all the children follow him.
Lion music.
Lion music.
He's gonna eat the children.
I mean, I'm just saying it's the most obnoxious bait and switch story I've ever read, and it's why I don't. Yes, honestly, it's the most anticlimactic book ever. Especially in this series. It's
that hate that you have for that book, that's how I feel about The Last Battle.
Yeah, see, I don't hate The Last Battle the same way because there's at least a battle and they're about to lose it completely and utterly, and it makes you feel things. Whereas Prince Caspian is just like, yay. That's what I was looking for. That battle that never happens.
Yay. If you watch the movie, there's a full battle.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you compare it to what the movie tries to do. When a movie has to deviate that much from the source material, they invent a battle. They invent extra conflicts.
To be fair, though, you know which one I hated more was the movie for Voyage of the Dawn Treader. That movie was an abomination.
Dude, that was a
never
terrible watched
movie.
it because because Prince Caspian was already terrible enough.
Prince Caspian had more redeeming qualities as a movie than the Voyage of the Dawn Treader. That movie was just like, I would be okay if the publisher pulled it from digital shelves and said no one should watch this ever again.
I'm telling you that the only reason it is at a 2, I guess I could put it at a 3 when I think back through the moral lessons of the book that he's trying to teach, because they are very powerful. I'll give him that.
I would be willing to argue the Silver Chair could be a 5. Now that we're looking at this list as a whole, I'd be willing to argue the Silver Chair to be a 5.
No.
Why are you so anti-Silver Chair as a 5?
Oh my God. Well, just like, no.
Because I'm not putting it on the same level as those other 2 books that are up there right now.
Just no.
Okay, I have to say, I thought the Silver Chair has a good story and is jam-packed with great moral.
That would be a good movie. Actually, so the BBC...
That one would be a good movie.
The BBC miniseries of the Silver Chair, because it was the last one they did, it's actually really well done. Like, you would be surprised how well they handled it.
If someone made The Horse and His Boy and the Silver Chair actually true to the story with good special effects that you could make today, both of those as standalone movies would be very good. Very good.
They would be.
So, and like, it's because if you have the moral lessons that you actually teach in there.
What do we want to say?
Will, there's that whole section about weak men. and Jezebel.
That's why I have it as a 4.
I think it's a 5.
I forgot about that because
I'm telling you, it's
frog
very
guy, whatever the heck.
Yeah, it's very rich in moral lessons, and it's a good story. I think it's a 5.
I would argue for it.
I think Will's biased.
All right, hold on. I think we can agree on something. Hold on.
Fine.
All right, fine. I'm gonna put it there.
If you do that, you can move Caspian up on par with the Dawn Treader.
Really? You think that's enough to bring Prince Caspian up?
I was fine with this ranking.
Well, I say that.
I think the Silver Chair sits on that one plane of existence between greatness, that is The Horse and His Boy, Magician's Nephew, and good, which is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
It doesn't rush any. Okay, Silver Chair doesn't rush anything.
None of the books that are above a 4 have a rushed ending.
I'll be honest, I do struggle with the Voyage of the Dawn Treader where it is at a 3.
You don't like it being at a 3?
I don't think it's significantly better.
I think it is significantly better than Prince Caspian. For one, it's the only book where you get to explore the islands, and there's a lot of lessons that you learn along the way. Reepicheep, Reepicheep alone.
Well, he's in Prince Caspian.
Yeah, but he's better in the voice.
That's how bad that book is. I don't even remember
that. Okay, fine.
You had the evil dwarves.
I can leave it as a 2. I was just thinking about the story itself is pretty bad, but the moral lessons of 2 is very good. When you think of Lucy, how she didn't follow Aslan right away just because of the others.
Look, there's good moral lessons in all these books. I'm not taking that away.
There's the whole concept about like the uncle killing his father. I mean, there's a lot of good ones in here. I guess it's not strong enough to make it a 3.
So you're saying there's the Lion King inside there?
Sure.
Uncle Scar kills Mufasa.
I guess I'll agree that the Dawn Treader is stronger when you go with the anti-slavery, don't trust strangers again thing.
That was my biggest complaint with Voyage of the Dawn Treader. They took away Prince Caspian's setting the slaves free on that island, and they just had him escape and leave that horrible Baron in charge.
Yeah,
that is one of his strongest developmental parts in the whole story. And they just said, nah, we ain't going to do that. It's like, what the heck? That is the worst thing they could have done.
When you have the lack of The Horse and His Boy, too, you don't really have the context of what makes Narnia different from all the other realms. So
that's true.
It's a very powerful thing. So, yeah, okay. I'm good with this ranking.
Me too.
Obviously, The Last Battle is unnecessarily lower than a 1. Like, okay, fine, but
it gets its own ranking.
It needs its own ranking.
it gets. I don't. Okay, I do not agree that necessarily Prince Caspian is a whole level above it. Like there's that barrier gap there, but if you're going to say that, then I mean, like Prince Caspian and the Last Battle are more similar than you're giving credit to, Will.
No, I think he has a talking donkey.
Like, no.
I think you just really hate the monkey and donkey so much for no reason.
No, you know what it is? I just now realized it's an ass lion.
It's an ass lion. That's funny.
They just
there you go. Well, it's gray. It doesn't even get a color.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, no, I really do hate the talking ape and the talking.
Well, yeah, he made
donkey.
me mad. Honestly, the whole thing where, in some of these books, like I feel like, okay, yes, I can see how people would react to these events in the way that they did. In the Last Battle, who on earth would have believed that monkey who trotted out a tiny lion in a lion
they're animals suit? Though they're not that smart. They've never seen a lion or
but they even got the Caspian the 10th or whatever he was.
Well, they must have seen a lion. They had the lion skin.
Yeah, there was a lion somewhere.
I mean, there's plenty of lions over in the non-speaking type over in the one area. So yeah, what if we made Prince Caspian a 1.5?
Nope.
You're not willing to go that low? Okay.
I disagree. I mean, there's enough there with Lucy and Aslan that I feel like it's worthy of a 2. The Last Battle just has so many issues with its plot.
No, okay. The same
He's like, no.
The same thing that you're willing to say right now about Lucy and Aslan is why
I felt like Prince Caspian was decent.
No, but that's
I would have given it a 3 if this was my list.
Dude,
I would have given Prince Caspian a 3, and the Treader would have been a 4.
Hey, I was about to agree with you, but Will said no on one of them.
I would give the Last Battle a 1 or a 2. I wouldn't have it in its own category. But Will's ranking is so low that it puts it below the ranking.
I'm just saying that the messages within that first half of the
Will's trying to give it a -5, and so we're agreeing with him by giving it its own category.
I'm just saying the Last Battle's first half messaging, lessons about false prophets and just all of that, right?
Yeah, literally don't be a dumbass.
You're saying that the first half of the Last Battle was good, kind of like the first half of the last season of that other program we talked about was decent. It's just the ending was terrible.
I'm confused. What?
A lot of people would say that up until like the last 4 episodes that Game of Thrones was okay. And then as soon as they got to those last 4, they're like, nope, this is terrible.
Well, the last couple seasons got very...
The last 2 seasons, yeah.
The last 2 seasons, because...
There was like ups and downs in season 7, but season 8 was just a dumpster fire the entire time.
Season 8 is just... It ruins it all because they don't even end it proper. So that's a different issue.
Yep.
The Last Battle is... I think
the ending, the actual ending when you get to it finally is okay. Because it actually does sum up some things. But there's like this weird transition where the story was going one way, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, 180.
No, it's what if we're not going to be harsh with him on The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe for how he rushes the ending, or Prince Caspian.
I didn't feel like The Lion, the Witch, literally the only one rushed. I felt like was actually rushed was The Last Battle.
You don't think Prince Caspian was rushed?
Not really, not compared to The Last Battle.
I think we need to stop arguing. We're going to end up hating each other. This ranking is okay.
Okay, so here's the question then. All right. If he were to write any more books in this series, where would you want them and what would they be about?
I want it to be an apology letter set after The Last Battle.
Without that, Will, come on.
Obviously,
where would you...
he needed to do an Arch and Land.
Yeah, Arch and Land would have been good.
An Arch and Land story, or one about the battles with the giants specifically.
High King Peter and the giants.
Yeah.
You could have done a David and Goliath story there. That would have been cool.
There could have been the explanation of how they got the islands of that story. Or
that was like barely mentioned. I don't remember what the deal was.
Well, there's more islands than just the Lonely Islands, right? There's other ones too. I mean, there's a lot of stories. Could have been like just Yeah, when did the first people show up after the cabbie?
Yeah, and how did they get there? And why didn't they just wipe them off of Narnia, face of the earth?
Will wants the fan fiction of how the cabbie's kids hooked up with
the
you remember how you argued against that at first, Chris? It's like that's what he wrote, man.
That's what he wrote.
No, I guess if I had to pick a story that I would love to see expanded, I want to know what happens to Puddleglum after the silver chair. I mean, does he go back and become king of the tribe? Like, what happens?
I don't think they had kings.
I don't know. Reaper Chief should become Aslan's champion, and should like have him.
He could have been like Saint Michael the Archangel come down and beat everybody up in the last.
Or the story of how the Tamarians showed up.
The Talmarines, yeah, that would have been an interesting one.
Yep.
I think the big thing here is if he ever did the same effort of world building that Tolkien did, Narnia would have been like crazy good.
Well, the things that are there that are there, but there's nothing really written about them, are actually pretty neat. Like when you think about
there's
what
tons
the
of it.
was.
Yeah, there's tons of it. Just like there's in the center of the underworld aspect too that he wrote about.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much there that's just not expanded on, which is why if someone wanted to actually do that with a TV series, it'd be great. You could just expand so much stuff.
I've tried. There was something. Oh, I would love to see a book set in the time period where how the White Witch claims her power.
Well,
I know that'd be a very desolate,
it's like
increasingly despairingly bad.
How did she get her wand?
I thought she didn't have that.
She didn't have it when she got there.
That's a good question.
How did she get her wand? And why was she able to convince all the dwarves? Well, no, where did the dwarves come from? Can we get that origin story? Because I need to know, where do the dwarves come from?
The dwarves are
they're not there. They're not, but they're not there in The Magician's Nephew.
Yeah. I want to know how the orcs play a role in this. No, I'm just kidding.
Or were dwarves there in Magician's Nephew?
I don't remember dwarves being in any of them, but I imagine it had to have come from the line of lineage from the cabbie and the wood nymphs or something.
No, but they're
Durin folk.
The Durin folk, yeah.
They're not sons of Adam.
No, but I don't think they consider those people that are descendants of the cabbie's kids and the wood nymphs to be sons of Adam anymore.
Yes, they did.
Did they? I don't remember that.
I thought they. I
don't recall that being a thing at all.
How did they keep having kings then?
Well, they were in Archenland, weren't they?
No, they're both Narnia and Archenland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe you're right. I can't remember.
The kings. What? Can we just point out that Archenland deserves its own story because Archenland never gets conquered by the White Witch, never gets conquered by the Collarmen.
He should have written a book
until the very end.
He should have written a book after the last battle called "The Desolation of the Calormen," because I want to know what Tash does to them when he leaves and goes out there. And he's just like wreck and pillage everything.
I mean, the thing
burns everything with eternal fire.
The thing that baffles me is there's so many Collarmen in this.
Right? What did he do to them?
Universe. Mm-hmm. It's like, how did they get there in such large numbers?
They probably got the rings from Uncle Andrew, and then just for lack of better words,
no, the origin story is just that some rich Ottoman Turk just bought these rings at an auction.
Yeah,
and then him and his family show up in this world, and they're randomly in the desert area already that they wanted. So,
and he's like, "I am king."
Yeah, I am Sultan now.
Yeah. Pretty much. It's like he's not rich. Maybe he like buys them for like nothing because nobody knows that these stupid green and yellow rings.
I don't know. Those rings would probably have been viewed as like something crazy.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? All right. So, what is your biggest compliment and what's your biggest complaint with this series?
You want to go first, Will?
My biggest compliment is it's an interesting world. I like his I don't know, just at the time, a lot of this was new. So just the concepts of weaving all these mystical creatures together, and how he's creating these societies, and he's interweaving like Christian mythology, which is cool. But he does it sort of subtly, not at the end. And then
less subtly at the end.
Yeah, my biggest complaint is the fact that he rushes the stories. And the thing is, so like the Dawn Treader specifically, there are so many little side missions that they're doing that sound so freaking interesting that I just want the story to do that. I just want that story. And then it's suddenly over and he's on to the next thing. And I realize it's meant for kids, but even as a kid, I think I'd have been more interested just for him to have like one plot line that he stuck to.
I think he was harmfully influenced by Tolkien, where he thought Tolkien was way too complex in his stories, probably. And then he went like the other direction. It comes off.
Well, Tolkien wasn't writing. Tolkien wasn't writing for the same age group, though. Like, I don't feel like it, anyways. At least
but
the Hobbit
we're
was.
friends.
I'm talking about the Hobbit, right? The Hobbit is more complex by far of a story.
Yeah, it is. It is. Although he does break the fourth wall like C.S. Lewis does on occasion.
I mean, but it's a more difficult read. The Hobbit is a more difficult read than anything.
You read the Chronicles of Narnia between the ages of, I don't know, 8 and 12, and then you read the Hobbit.
Basically. I mean, my compliment would be he created a great universe.
Yeah, he did. Without doing all the
fantastic, and he has some stories in there, like The Horse and His Boy, that are sure to just be a favorite that you'll always cherish as the story goes. My complaint is the same as Will's about how he rushes stories, and he mentions a lot of things that he never expands on. Yeah. Which I guess right there. I wish he had done more world building, and because he could have created something that was just as epic as Middle Earth, easily. But
yeah, I mean the foundation's there.
He weaves the morals that he wants to, like the moral lessons he wants to convey. He weaves those into the story seamlessly. Basically, every one of them. Not the overt religious themes at the end, but the like moral lessons about like stranger danger, things that you should teach a kid, right? About like don't just give away don't tell everything to strangers. You don't know what the outcome's going to be. Like all of those lessons are very well written, and just you can just pick it up.
My biggest compliment to the series would probably be that it's not you never feel like any of the stories are too long, but at the same time that can be a detriment, like The Last Battle, where it felt like he was telling a much longer story and rushed the ending. So I'm not gonna sit there and use.
I agree with you though. I think he had a page limit. So I do think he had one.
I'm gonna go sidestep you guys on this sped up stories, which I agree with. My biggest issue is I feel like there was more story there than what he wrote, and he could have easily wrote more stories. Yeah. And I wish he would have. And clearly, with two great books like The Horse and His Boy, Magician's Nephew, which were later on, I understand that he published those much later. I really feel like if he would have spent more time on the other stories, then at least they would have all been up to the same par as Silverchair.
Yeah.
So
right. Just one quick thing to add into that too. It's not like he took a long time to write these.
No, each of them were done in like a year.
That's impressive. Let's give him credit where credit is due. That's impressive. Where if he had taken the same time that Tolkien did to world build, can you imagine what he would have created with these books?
Probably something incredible we'd never be able to imagine.
Right.
But he also wrote a lot of other books. So
I know.
I don't know what I'd rather have. I don't know what I'd rather have. More C.S. Lewis books or better C.S. Lewis books? I don't know.
Well, for this particular series, I would have taken the less books, more depth,
more quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can agree with that. I think I wish he had done way more world.
He probably could have combined Prince Caspian and Voyage of the Dawn Treader, made that one continuous story of some sort. And it probably could have been higher quality or something along those lines.
Well, he was allergic to the 300-page mark. I'm not gonna lie. That's the vibe I get reading these. He was literally allergic to 300.
Well, I can't think of any book other than the final book in the Space Trilogy for C.S. Lewis that hit that 300-page count.
Yeah. So I think that's the problem, right? He was trying to tell stories that require more like The Hobbit, which is what, like 350 or something.
Depends on what copy you have.
Yeah,
mine's like 397 or something.
Oh, a smaller page. Is yours more
physically smaller?
Is yours more the size of what a standard Narnia book is then?
Like physically, like
physically,
the height, dimensions,
yeah.
Other than the depth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, in that case, right there, if he had just done double the pages for half of these books.
Well, The Last Battle needed it.
Yeah, I mean, so did the Dawn Treader, so did Prince Caspian, so did Lion and the Witch in the Wardrobe.
Fair enough. Anyways,
in a sense, if you wanted to make him richer, but
all right. Is there anything else you guys want to say about this?
Thank God it's over.
I'm looking forward to reading the Space Trilogy because I don't think we'll have nearly as many complaints with that one.
No, the first couple are just weird. I like them, but they're just weird. The third book is really good because it's actually a story.
The second book is really good.
All right, the second one, honestly, is let's not get into it. That's another discussion.
But anyways, I was just gonna say I still think the second book in
the second one is very good. I was kind of forgetting the main thrust of that story.
The first one is the one where I agree with you. It's a weird. I mean, it sets up the main character, but it's weird. But I think that's going to be a series we all like. At the end of the day, I think this one overall we liked it, but it ends on such a sour note. It's hard. It's hard to end on Last Battle. Yeah. I still think this is a series that is like necessary for people to read.
Yeah.
I don't think a child reading this is going to come out of it with less morality than when they got into it.
I think that this. Okay, I'll say this too. Like what you're doing with your kid, where you're reading it to them. I think that's a good thing for one good way to introduce these books to kids. Mm-hmm. And then when they reread them on their own later, that's when their imagination can really do a lot more with the story.
It also brings up good discussions with your children if you read them with them.
Well, because you can dramatize certain portions of the story
and you can pause anywhere and have a conversation.
Yeah, to properly convey messages that you see. So. Yeah. Definitely a recommended book series.
Yep, I would agree with that. I guess, a farewell to the Chronicles of Narnia. You've served us well over the past 8 months or so. I really enjoyed rereading them after almost a decade and a half since I finished them, I think. I think it's been at least that long. I was definitely younger than 15 when I read them the first time. Will, this is your first read-through, isn't it?
Yeah, well, all of them. I read a few of them before.
Okay. Andrew, what about you?
I've read them 3 times.
3 times. Okay. This is only my second time, although I am on my third time now with my son. So, I mean, if that tells you anything, I've read these books twice now and I'm reading them a third time with my son. And I'm not I don't hate doing it.
I've literally read them once a decade, basically.
Will's going to make the joke about me just loving C.S. Lewis.
Yeah. So if Chris likes the books, you know there's something wrong with them. So
I don't know, man. Hey,
Andrew's read them more than I have.
I told you guys going into this that The Horse and His Boy was the top book. So
you were right. I completely forgot how good it was.
Yeah.
Rasta, that was his name. Oh my goodness. I could not think of what his name was. All right.
And that's how we end it.
Yeah. On that note, definitely try The Magician's Nephew and see if you'll continue on after that. Because especially as an adult, that's a good one to start with.
Yeah.
If you're a kid, I mean, read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's definitely it's fine. If you're a kid, read that one.
Is that still on reading lists? I think that used to be in like second grade. You would read that.
Second grade?
Yeah, man.
Oh, as a class?
As a class, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know you came from the Youpers, but I don't think that's like a normal thing.
No, I mean,
it was at one time.
Yeah,
was it? Okay.
It was either first or second grade. My class read it.
We did not. None of my grades ever read Narnia.
That was back when you read a book as a class, and then you took the test, the little quiz on a computer.
Mm-hmm.
See, Will remembers. You don't, apparently. You illiterate.
We didn't do that.
You were illiterate.
They did not do that. No, they did not. It was not part of the curriculum that I grew up with.
Your school was illiterate. All right.
I grew up in the Lower Peninsula. I don't know what y'all Yoopers did up there, but
apparently learned to read.
Anyway, as always, I'm Chris.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Will.
And don't forget Sunday's going to be us going over The Hobbit.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said it's going to be The Horse and His Boy.
Wow.
Yeah,
The Hobbit. Oh. I'm really far in, guys. I promise. I'm close to finishing it. On that note, Sunday 8:30. Be there. Be square. Don't be a hobbit. Be a hobbit. Don't be a dwarf. We'll see you then.
See ya.
See ya.